Hi, my name is Anthony LeBruno. Welcome to your first piano lesson. So this first lesson is going to be really basic. We're going to just go over things like the notes on the keyboard, as well as your finger numbers and what the foot pedal does, things like that, so we can refer to that information in future lessons and you'll know what we're talking about. So one quick warning, this is the first time and the last time that you'll actually see me before or after or even during a lesson. But that's okay, don't worry about it. You're going to hear my voice, you'll see my hands, and you'll see the piano keyboard to instruct you further. Alright, so make sure if you really like these lessons that you subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can also check out different diagrams and helpful resources on my website at anthonylebruno.com/lessons. Alright, thanks for watching. Here we go, lesson number 1. Alright, welcome to piano. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to identify any of the notes on the keyboard. You should know what your finger numbers are, and you should have a basic understanding of how to use the sustain pedal, which is that pedal that you would connect to the back of your keyboard, and if you have an acoustic piano, it would be the pedal all the way to the right. Okay, so first we want to go over the pattern of how the keys are laid out on the piano. So we'll go by the black keys, and you might notice that there's 2, then 3, 2, then 3, then 2, then 3, so on and so forth, all the way to the left, all the way to the right of the piano. That is the pattern. And so that pattern lays out the 12 notes that are in music. And so the great thing about piano is it's all right there in front of you, and you can see that there are 12 notes that repeat. So for instance, if we start here on A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 brings us back to A, which is that note in between the second and third black keys in the group of 3. Right, so we started here and we played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 notes before we got back to the next. And that pattern would repeat throughout the entire piano as well. So again, there's a group of 2 and a group of 3 black keys, and we can identify a lot of the white keys by where they are in comparison to the black keys. So since we started on A just now, another thing to point out would be that the musical alphabet just has the letters A through G. So if we start on A, this note is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then that brings us back to A. So A through G. So there's no note T, for example, no note H, right? Just notes A through G. Okay, and so probably the most important note that you'll need to know for now, where to identify it, is the C. So middle C is usually by the logo on your piano, right in the middle of the piano, hence the name middle C. C is next to the group of 2 black keys. So that would be your middle C. Again, in the middle of your keyboard, usually by the logo, if whether it's an acoustic or an electric piano or keyboard, is your middle C. So again, C is right next to the 2 black keys. So far we have learned that the notes that we have on the piano are A through G. There's no note H, right? The notes in music in general, we have A through G, okay? Now, you may have noticed that when I was playing A through G, those were all white keys. The question now is, what are the black keys? So the black keys are sharps or flats. So a sharp, let's take that C that we just learned. A sharp is when a note is higher by 1/2 step, which is 1 key away. So if this is a C and we make it sharp, C sharp, you can think of sharp as something pointy, pointing up. So it goes up by 1/2 step. That note is C sharp. That note can also be called D flat. If you think, like we said, sharp is something pointy, think of pointing up, right? We're pointing up from C. That note can also be called D flat, because this note is C, and this is 1 step higher, right? A sharp of C. That note is also 1/2 step lower. If you think about flattening something, you're pushing it down to flatten it. D flat. So the sharps are either the sharp of the white note to the left of it, or the flat of the white note to the right of it. So again, it's either C sharp or D flat. So that would be true with any of the notes on the keyboard. So for instance, we started off talking about A. This note is A, so A sharp would be A a little bit higher, right? Pointing up, that's A sharp. A flat would be A pushed down a little bit lower. So again, so far you should be able to know what the musical alphabet is, A through G. A through G. We should know where a C is, next to the two black keys, and we should now know what the black keys are. They are sharps and flats. That brings us to knowing what our finger numbers are, and so you can count with me. Obviously, we have 5 fingers. Thumbs are 1, pointers are 2, middle is 3, rings are 4, and pinky is 5. So for both hands, each corresponding finger is the same number. So thumbs on left and right hand are both finger number 1. Pointers on both hands, left and right, are finger number 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so those are our finger numbers. Lastly, that brings us to how to use the sustain pedal. So I'm just going to play that note C. You notice, if I lift up my finger, I lift up off that key, the sound stops. The sustain pedal will sustain that note even when I lift up. So if I press down the sustain pedal, which is what I'm doing right now, I'm pressing my foot down on the sustain. Now I press the C and let go. You can hear that note is still ringing out. It's still sustaining, hence the name sustain pedal. So we'll talk about how to use that pedal in future lessons in the context of songs. But that is your Welcome to Piano. Again, you should be able to identify any of the notes on the keyboard now, knowing that this is where C is, and knowing that all you have to do is go alphabetically in either direction. If this is C, that means this is D. If this is C, that means this is C sharp or D flat, right? So we can now find any of the notes on the keyboard. If I asked you to find the note F, all you have to do is, okay, A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, if I said F sharp, you'd say, oh, it's that black key that's a little higher than the note F. If I said E flat, you'd find E, C, D, E, and then go one note lower because we're flattening it. E a little lower. Lower is to the left, higher is to the right. There's your E flat. So we now know the notes on the piano. We also know our finger numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. As well as, on a basic level, how to use the sustain pedal. That's your first lesson. Thanks for watching.